Oh, hello, and welcome to our session today. We're going to be talking about one of the core marketing campaign types, which is events and the effective use of online registration. So I want to say right off the top that this session will not be addressing best practices around event planning. Topics like venue selection, planning event entertainment or dining options, running fundraising activities like live or silent auctions, etc. So it's solely focused on helping you learn more about effective event promotion and streamlining your online registration efforts. So we certainly have we do have a lot to talk about with those two topics, so let's get going. So I'll take a second to introduce myself. My name is Danna Crawford, and I'm an authorized local expert and solutions provider with Constant Contact. And I've been with Constant Contact since 2007. I'm based in Ocala, Florida. And here is my contact information. If you want to reach out following this session, you can send me an email, find me on Facebook, or reach out on Twitter. This slide, this will just show you the different areas of Constant Contact. They provide newsletters and announcements, have offers and promotions, feedbacks and surveys, and events and registration. There's a lot more to email marketing than just simply sending emails. But of course, this presentation is focused on events and registration. So our agenda, what we're going to talk about, we'll quickly talk about the different types of events and how there may be an event type that would work for you if you only got a little creative. And we'll share some reasons for running an event and how to approach the free or paid question. Then we're going to discuss the promotion of your event and a rough timeline you can try for different promotional activities. Next, we'll talk about online registration tools and why they make up an important part of your event management efforts. And finally, we'll recognize that just because the event is over, your work isn't done. We'll talk about post-event actions. And I also want to make sure a quick note about for and nonprofits, the industry verticals. I'm often asked how the things I'm talking about should be adjusted or changed for a retail operation, a nonprofit, or a services like B2B firm or someone in a different industry vertical. The good news is that the principles that will be discussed today are largely universal. They can benefit a nonprofit just as much as they can a for-profit. A B2B business can follow these just as easily as a B2C, that a restaurant can succeed, and these ideas just as easily as a yoga studio, a church, or a bookstore. So yes, you have many different considerations to make for your select audience or your organization, but in large part, what we're teaching are best practices, and they're best practices around the board. So no matter what type you're with, you will be covered to handle the different ways with events. So the types of events, I want to give you a simple definition or framework of what marketing really is. So you already know generally what it is, but when I say the word marketing, I mean something very specific, and it's important that we're on the same page. My definition of marketing has three simple parts. You define an audience, a group of people that you want to target, you reach out to them with a message that is specific to that audience, and you seek a physical and measurable response, a click, a reply, a call, a purchase, a referral. These are all actions that represent a decision made by a human to react to your message. So keep this in mind as we discuss marketing and marketing campaigns and the ways to deliver the most effective campaigns. You're doing these things because you want people, your customers, your clients, your donors, or supporters to do something. Our topic for today, the campaign type surveys and feedback is absolutely about getting a response. But our topic, of course, is events. First, let's talk about campaigns. And what does this word really mean? Very simply, there are two parts to a campaign. First, you push out some sort to your followers or supporters. Second, you hope to pull some part of response from them. You want them to read, forward, or share. You want to, whatever you sent them, your call, your action, you want them to take action of some sort. So think about a campaign in terms of push-pull. And more importantly, do not think about it as just putting an offer out there and making the sale. In this new marketing world, it's more like a conversation, which leads or lends itself to that advantage we talked about that you have over big business. As a small company, you can engage in a conversation that feels, and in fact is, much less like a sales gimmick and more like a nurturing a relationship. So if you're doing it right, it'll seem like that from both sides of the conversation. So we're going to push out invitations, and we're going to pull in registrations. So keep this in mind, our push-pull. And that's what a campaign is. So when we use the word event, the image that often comes to mind is that of a gala or a dinner with entertainment in a reception hall, and that's accurate, but there are different types as well. So here are a few. You have seminars, lectures, workshops, classes, webinars, conferences, social gatherings, networks, fundraising galas. These are all the different types of events. And I use my services at all of these events that I participate in as well, including webinars. So for this particular webinar, I used the GoToWebinar service. I didn't use my Constant Contact for this service. However, I could have used it and then had people come to and then included the link to the webinar. However, I chose to do it this way. So why run an event? Across these types of events at their core is some organizations has a reason for hosting an event. So think about the type of goals you might have for an event. We're going to talk about goals. So do any of these look familiar to you as a goal that you've set for an event before? You wanted to raise money, drive purchases, create a face-to-face engagement, have a reward or loyalty program, celebrate milestones, grow your list, educate, and offer yourself as an expert. And you are an expert in your industry, so you need to claim it. And that's one thing that I claim myself as an eBay expert. I've been an eBay seller for 18 years, and I travel around the country and I teach eBay. And I claim myself as an eBay expert, and I claim myself as an email marketing expert. So you have to claim it because you can't wait for someone else to call you that. I'm a firm believer in that. So to charge or not to charge? It can be hard trying to determine what to charge for an event, but sometimes it's hard to determine if you actually want to charge for anything at all. So in some cases, you may not be sure if people will be willing to pay for your event. So let me help a little bit take the stress out of that question. We reviewed over 200,000 RSVPs in which people declined an invitation and looked at the reasons why people say no. So here's what we found. Over 50% cited conflicts with date and time. So it was a conflict of date and time issue. Another, almost 30%, cited other. When you drill into the reasons, most of those were also related to date, time, and location. So an additional 10% cited location directly. In essence, almost 90% of the reasons people say no come down to timing and location. When it comes down to cost, all of those that responded, the percentage who cited cost as the reason they were declining was what? Think about that. Out of 200,000 responses, it's crazy. 200,000 RSVPs by 0.01%, which means 20 people out of 200,000, which shows don't be afraid to charge for your event. Don't be afraid. There's a concept we regularly, there we go. There's a concept that we regularly discuss in our seminars called the engagement marketing cycle, and it outlines the connection between key elements of the relationship what a business or organization has with its customers, clients, or donors. Events definitely have a place in this cycle. Events are about the wow experience, but they also have a place in each other part of the engagement marketing cycle. They give organizations a reason to ask people to stay in touch. The experience at the event creates a ready connection around which engagement can be created. And events provide opportunities for social visibility during the event or after or before with the sharing of stories, pictures, results, etc. And finally, everyone loves to hear about a great party or gathering or a meaningful reason to get together. So events supported by engagement and social visibility will draw new prospects to your business or your cause. So let's talk about the promotion. We talked about the types of events, and you could think about the goals you could have for one and why to consider charging for one, and the important role that the event can play in helping you stay engaged with your audience. So now let's talk about the promotion of your event. Now, studies show it's best to promote your event over a period of time. And that makes sense for the type of event, your organization, your audience, and their planning horizon, etc. We're going to walk through the types of activities you should consider as you promote your event. For the purposes today, we're going to use a sample 6-week promotional period. But you can think about how you would stretch this core promotional period out over the length of your ideal time frame. So we're not talking about just blasting out your registration URL 6 weeks in a row. Today, we've broken your event into a success formula of 3 stages. So the first stage, within 5 to 6 weeks out, is to create buzz. So you want to start the buzz rolling about your event. And the next stage is increasing registration. So you want to get the registration out, send out the URLs, get information, and then maximizing attendance. Each stage is broken down into different best practices designed to help you achieve the goal at the end of the stage. So all of these stages come together to make your event a success. The one piece of promotion that can and should be sent before this timeline is what's called save the date. Save the date notice. So be sure to leave plenty of time for your audience to start making appropriate plans. I know my daughter's planning a wedding October of next year. And it's a lot of work planning these events, but we're going to get, as soon as she has that date locked in, we're going to start with sending out save the date. Creating buzz all around the work you can do to get people excited about your event and on their radar even before you share the event's URL. Email newsletters are a fantastic way to stay on top of mind with your customers. It keeps them thinking about your company, so when they're ready to buy or recommend you to a friend, you're the first to come to mind. When you create compelling content, people want to read it, they want to share it with their friends and their family. And when they're reading your newsletter, make sure they're reading about your upcoming event. So talking about the event is not enough. Make sure registration is only one click away. Your email newsletter is a great place to promote your events because it reaches a wide audience. It takes advantage of the places they are already paying attention to. These are the exact same reasons you should also promote your event on your website. With a lot of event management systems, it's super easy to do. It doesn't require constantly updating your web designer or swapping out code. It's change or make once, and it will update your website automatically for every new event you publish. Just like your email, registration is just one click away, making it easy for your audience. By promoting your event through your email newsletter and your website, you're taking advantage of the places your customers are already engaging and looking. So what about the place prospects are looking for events? That is where public listings come in. With online event management systems, you can push your event out automatically to sites like Events in America and social events. And don't stop there. Make sure your local press covers your event as well, whether that's the paper, an event calendar, and co-marketing opportunities with businesses. Whatever the place, just make sure to get your event out there. Another place, just a side note for you, where I put all of my events are on Facebook, and I create it from my Facebook business page, and I create an event from there with a link to sign up for the event, for a registration link. So communication schedule. Once you get the word out about your event and have generated buzz, the next step is to motivate people to register. So you want to use all of the tools that you have available to you, starting with the registration form, an event homepage you create. The event homepage is something that's often baked into an online event manager and registration tool, just to let you know. So make sure all of the pertinent information is listed in those places. So you've got your event, then you build on that buzz and drive registration through the invitations you send, whether they be virtual, through email or newsletters, the real ones, the USPS. Finally, take full advantage of all your social media channels, especially because they also help you get the word out at your event. Spread the word, just be on, as I mentioned, with Facebook. And then as I mentioned, as they mentioned, invitations, paper and email. The Postal Service has an awesome system called Every Door Direct Mail, and that actually fills my event. And what I do is I create my Every Door Direct Mail flyer for my event, and then it has spaces limited, register online, and then I have them go right to powersellingmom.com/USPS. And that is my partnership with the post office, because we do eBay workshops for free around Florida and Georgia. And so we send everybody to that page, and it makes registration really easy. And now, boom, I also get a notice on my phone, and I have an app on my phone that shows me a head count, and I can pull it up and take a look at how many are registered. It makes it really easy for me. So here we want to maximize attendance 2 weeks out to the event. Again, send the email reminder, provide tickets or confirmation. That's an option. With the service at Constant Contact, I can have people print out their tickets right directly there. It makes it super easy if we need to have tickets. Although your event homepage remains static, you can still update the page, so make sure it has the most up-to-date information. And don't forget to take advantage again of the social channels. So again, 2 weeks out, keep the communication going. Now let's look at the benefits and best practices around online registration. One of the early choices you make as an event planner has to do with the tools you use to manage the various details of your event. So there are two big buckets that we can place these tools in, and to put it very simply, we refer to those as online and offline tools. To be clear, offline doesn't just equal paper. This refers to an entire mixture of resources and other tools that you're likely using. So in fact, in some recent research we conducted of customers using our event management tools, we found that a lot of them were using a mix. So you can see the chart here. None of these are likely surprises. Excel spreadsheets, phone, Outlook, other emails, these are all what we consider offline or indirect event management tools. We also refer to these as indirect methods because your invitees isn't registering directly into the event database. They reply to the invitation by phone, email, regular mail, etc. And then you or a member of your staff is entering the data into the spreadsheet or system. So what you don't see here are things like paper invitations, save the date cards, etc. But these are important, but not something I don't go into great detail today. So to be clear though, we're big fans of paper invitations. I'm a very big fan of every door direct mail. So let's take a look at what we mean when we say online registration. First, I'm guessing most of you have seen or even completed an online registration. Obviously, you did to be here today. Or you may even be familiar with the fact that activities you do online can be reflected in reporting from the online tools. Online registration is an electronic way to capture information about people coming to your event. During the act of registration, you can also capture fees, guest information, etc. Certain online registration tools may also automatically enter that information into lists you have or allow you to integrate the email with social media, social marketing tools. Then what we're talking about, online registration, we're referring to tools that you can use that allow for the input of event registration information, including details. So you may be wondering why you should be using online registration tools, especially if you've already got a mix of tools that work for you. That's a great question. The reality of online registration tools is that they'll make life easier for you, and this is a fact, and I know this from experience. Easier refers to the fact that your registration process is now an engine switch that's always on and allows for the collection of more information than a simple yes, no, maybe RSVP. It'll be easier for you and your invitees. So invitation acceptances and declines will be pulled together quickly in one place. If you're charging a fee, a lot of online tools allow you to collect fees as part of the registration process. So you can be collecting information 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Of course, the best part is that you don't actually have to collect, enter, or handle the information. It all goes directly into the database. So think of this like being part of a conversation with your invitee, except you don't actually have to be there. And it happens at a time when your invitees want it to, what time is convenient for them, which increases the likelihood that they'll register because it happens on their schedule, on their time. All of the information you'll collect will be in one central location. Responses to questions you ask in the registration process, billing information, all in one place rather than in different places, on paper, on the computer, etc. Another benefit is that if you host your registration online, most tools will allow you to automatically update registrants with any event changes, like if the time changes or the venue or the speaker. Even after they've registered, with just the click of a button, you can shoot them out a notice. If you want, or your event requires it, you can also sell items related to the event or collect donations related to your cause. Again, with all the information ending up in one place from which you can do with it as what you need. In one word, online registration tools make your life easier. And it simplifies the process. So in addition to being easier, you're also going to find the expectations around where registration takes place have been changing. As technology has moved more of our lives and the management of our lives online, more people expect to manage tasks like registering for events through a computer or even a smartphone. The number today is as many as 50%. Half of people who receive a paper invitation are expecting to be able to register online. So we mentioned the invitation earlier. A great online registration tool is one that also allows you to streamline the sending of invitations to your list and brings together the information for the event with your email list to send it out to your audience. So there are a couple things to keep in mind as you build your invitation. You want to have simple graphics. Keep the logo in there to keep it matching, and also include the basics, the location, the date and time. Write a compelling message. Anticipate questions like, can they bring a friend? Will parking be validated? Should I bring my invitation with me, etc. Write a subject line for your email that will ensure that you're recognizable, and combine your organization's name with the person's name when possible to improve your chances of the invitation being opened. So after crafting your invitation, you can start building out your registration form. The first thing to consider as you start building your registration form is that you don't want to make it difficult, complicated, or over time-consuming for your invitee to complete the registration. This is an example of a form that just in its appearance alone you might consider not filling it out. It just looks complicated. It actually asks for 14 separate pieces of information. That's insane. I will say there is an important point I need to make though. If your event requires you to ask for 14 pieces of information, then of course do so. But do everything to ensure that you're asking for only the information that is the most necessary for you to have and most appropriately relevant to your event. So avoid the temptation to use a registration form as a vehicle for asking every question you ever wanted an answer to, or as a platform from which to get a lot of details about the event or your organization. So, what should a well-designed form look like? Let's take a look. We've worked really hard to develop your brand, well you have, and to expose your brand personality in whatever you do. So why wouldn't you take the opportunity to do just that with your event registration as well? You should customize your registration so it reflects your brand. Use your logo colors. If using online registration, send from an email address that they will recognize. Also be sure to use language that you use for your organization. If you call people members, cozy knitters, business executives, etc., use this language so the registration form is customized to reflect your brand. One variation on this idea is to reflect the brand of the event, especially if it has a different look or feel than your standard brand. In most cases, the event look, feel will incorporate your event's brand, so it should be easy to match the event's brand. As with the invitation, there's some basic for you to consider on the form. So don't worry, we'll get to all the information you want to collect in a moment. But don't forget the basics. First, make sure that everything you create has your logo on it or the logo for the event. Don't assume that just because they clicked on a link or found themselves on the registration page that they know or remember who you are. Provide all the pertinent details, the date, the time, the location, a map. Make sure that the name of the event is on the form. Again, don't assume anything. You should provide a brief description of the event to remind them of what it's all about, and keep your form fields as simple as possible. Recognize with the amount of information flying at people these days, you want to take every opportunity to remind them of who you are and what they're signing up for. Again, keep it simple. So what information should you seek to collect? Let's talk about that. How much and what information you collect is a tricky question to answer. So as I said, the short answer is that you want to collect only as much information as you need to in order to effectively manage the event. For example, here are some common questions asked on registration forms. Notice there isn't a big long list of items here. Why? Because people are time-starved and information overloaded, and that includes being asked to fill out forms, enter their data, etc. If you're clearly soliciting information that is connected to the event, then you're likely to get a good completion rate. Be sure that there's plenty of research to support the fact that the longer a form is, there's a higher chance that someone won't complete it. So even if there are questions you want to ask related to your business organization, but they're not related to the event, you should find a different approach to asking them. Try collecting the bare minimum of information needed and make sure there is a purpose for everything you collect. So the demographics, that can help. Like on this event, I asked for the zip code, and that was important for us to know, where people are coming from. And we tried if they had an organization. These are all things that will help us going forward with future webinars. The demographics, as I mentioned, that's what we needed for this. We're allowing them to bring guests. I have learned that I like to have my events where they don't bring a guest, so that they will actually have their guests fill out an event form as well. So that way I can get a good count and also get more information to help with my data. But on some events, I do have that they're allowed to bring up to 4 guests, and so then the count will adjust on its own. Communicate about openings, adjust staffing, anything that you need to have different information about, event-specific information that you want be very clear, that will help you manage details like meal options, clothing sizes, quantities, even help you better the makeup of your audience. This is where the how did you hear about our event question can help. If you have a high number of returning customers, VIPs, or new supporters coming to your event, allowing you to adjust your style of marketing your event. Find out where they heard about you from. And payment is clearly important. If you're collecting payments and payment information ahead of time, you'll be able to manage your event budget and finances. Knowing that a larger number of your registrants plan to pay at the door may impact how you pay for certain aspects of the event in advance. So keep all of these things in mind. So with that in mind, here are just a few other things you might ask for. I mentioned about asking for a meal or giveaway. You want to, are they vegetarians? Are they have special sizes for the clothing? Asking about things that might seem unrelated could actually help a lot. So if you run a summer camp and want to know what school the child attended, it could help you put the kids into groups of others that they might know. Again, the key takeaway here is to make sure you're asking for information that is relevant to the event. Once you have the set of questions you want to ask with online tools, there's another important consideration that you want to make, one that will help make better use of that information. We've got the questions you want to ask. You have. So then you just filled out the form. Provide a space for the answers, and you're off to the races, right? Wrong. Here's an example of a form that might have been created that way. Clearly, there's a lot of information they want to collect, and they've provided ample spaces for the answers. But what's wrong with this picture? There are open-ended questions. Why is that a problem? Because as registrants complete and submit their answers, you'll get a spreadsheet that looks like this. This is a set of data that will be hard for you to process and analyze easily because of the variety of answers, types of answers, etc. You have to do a lot of cleanup work in the spreadsheet before you can make the most effective use of it. So, what should you do? The best approach is to provide options in response to each question. Look at this form and how the event manager has made it easy for the registrant by asking yes or no answers or providing a selection of responses in a drop-down menu. Then, when the event manager looks at the data, they'll find a very clean data set that can be easily sorted, filtered, analyzed, etc., making it much easier to make decisions, changes in the event strategy, etc. So remember, good data in equals good data out. So here's another time-tested piece of advice. Make yourself the first test subject for your registration form. Even before you send it out, your invitations, be sure that you fill out the form yourself or have a member of your staff fill it out. This will allow you to make sure it's easy to understand and complete, doesn't have any typo or errors, and get a sense of how long it would take to complete. You can then assess if the time it takes is appropriate for the event and for your audience. So once you have a good sense of the time it takes, you could even comment on the invite or at the start of the registration process, this should only take 3 minutes to complete, or 15 minutes, or 30 minutes, however long. It's a good idea to have that that's why you should test it. Because to be honest with you, it's like with getting surveys. If I say, this survey is going to take 30 minutes, well, it's going into my later file, probably. So you don't want it too long. So if you're sure it's only going to take 3 minutes, it might help you increase event registrations by stating that. So you came up with the questions, you built a good form to collect the information, you tested it, it's live, now what? One thing you can do is ask your registrants if they'd like others to see that they're attending. With most online registration tools, you would set this up as you set up everything else for your event and your registration form. Then, when the registrants get to the end of the form, they will be asked if they want to share their registration with others, with limited information, of course. So if and when they allow that, other registrants will see how your event's audience is shaping up, resulting in an experience that looks like this, with the names visible to the registrants. This is actually a great practice, as it will help create something known as social proof. What is social proof? It's a phenomenon by which someone looks to see how others are responding to a particular situation, decision, etc., before they make their own. So think of when you've driven to a restaurant and found the parking lot empty. Do you wonder if the food is any good? Excuse me. Will you drive on to one with a full parking lot? So what happens is that one of your invitees will go to the registration form and they'll see a list of names. She'll look at that list of names and try to find someone that she knows that has similar interests, all as part of the process of deciding whether or not she wants to attend. If she sees enough of the social proof, she'll be more inclined to think that this is an event worth attending, and she'll complete the registration. She'll also be more likely to show up. You can also extend how the social proof can work for you. So give the registrants an option to share their registration and a link to the event through other social networks. So you should also leverage your own social media channels to try to generate that proof by posting the event on Facebook, as these businesses did. So notice the use of information, images, and even video to promote the event. And since these were posted on Facebook, followers of these businesses had commented and liked those posts, increasing the social proof and driving registrants to that registration page. Such an awesome process. In addition to facilitating the collection of information that's relevant to your event, as well as helping provide the social proof that might help increase your registration, online tools and their collection of data can help inform future business decisions. By collecting email addresses for future events will help increase your list. Getting a sense of guests that are coming to an event might help you decide how to approach that audience at your event as you start to build a relationship with them. Other information you collect will similarly improve your future planning efforts. For example, learning how they heard about the event, members, past attendees, etc., will help you know where to promote your next event to maximize registration. So in short, you'll be better able to develop and market your events in the future. If you have decided to collect payment for your event, consider the impact that how you allow them to pay or make donations can have on registration and attendance. The options you provide can influence the number of people that complete the registration process. Other different ways for invitees to pay for registration if you're charging for your event or donation. Pay by check or credit card are common options, with a lot of small businesses using credit card processors like Authorize and ProPay to make credit card payments seamless and part of the process. You might also find that an online payment solution like Google Checkout or PayPal would work better for you. Just keep in mind that in most cases, options like these will take your registrants out of their own registration form into a separate website. Also, depending upon the type of event and the audience, you may want to offer the option to pay at the door. Now, PayPal also has what's called PayPal Here, and that allows us to get collect payment with all major credit cards using your smartphone, and I use that at all my events. Something you need to keep in mind, though, with respect to payment options is that if you offer only one payment option, people may opt out of the registration process at that point. While there may be one option that works best for you and your organization, that may not be the best option for your invitee. So imagine the scenario we have here that shows certain potential attendees and the payment options they prefer. If you start to reduce the options available for paying for the event, you may be limiting the potential pool of people likely to register for the event. In other words, consider carefully how you let people pay. Now, flash forward to the day after your event. You're all done, right? You cleaned up. Now you get to go on that vacation you've been putting off while you worked your butt off at the event. Well, you're not quite right. Not yet. There are some important steps to take to make sure you close out the event as a marketing campaign. So the most important thing you have to do after the event is to say thank you. And that is very important that you have a follow-up. Now, you'll receive a follow-up thank you from me within the hour after this event. And what I do after my webinars is I process the video, and then I upload it, and then I get it emailed to you. So it usually takes about an hour, hour and a half to receive a follow-up. But some of the tools you can use to plan and promote events return your results instantly, and others take 24 hours. So some tools used to run webinars, which is this one, will take that long for the recording and list of attendees and non-attendees. Mine takes, I have it done. They said to give it 24 hours. I have it done within the hour. So make sure you know your options with your tools that are available and plan accordingly. So in either case, once the event is concluded, you can go ahead and check your results and reporting and get a few different things. You can pull a list of attendees and no-shows. Once you have your list, send an email to attendees and registrants that did not attend. To attendees, send all the resources. If you had a live event, send the photos, the videos, results, like who won the raffle or auction. Make sure to nurture them to the next step. Whatever step you decide with a call to action, and make sure that that next step stands out. So some common ones are ask them to follow you on Facebook, to friend you, purchase a product, start a trial, attend the next event. For non-attendees, send a sorry you couldn't attend, here's what you missed email. Provide a recording or photo or video. Let them know when the next event is. Use the follow-up email to drive registration. You can use the reporting features to check on revenues from tickets or sales or donations. And if you ask questions during the registration process and that information can be synced with your attendee list, you can go ahead and start segmenting your list of names and based on responses. So this will help you with follow-up over time. So soon after your event, connect with your attendees, staff, volunteers, and ask them to share any multimedia they captured. Make it easy for them to share by inviting them to post photos on the Facebook page or any other social channel that you utilize. Create albums where you can, and then send a link to your online album in your follow-up email and your next email newsletter, a link for people to view it on your social media posts. You could keep reusing that content. If you provide your attendees with a hashtag, as well as the social media addresses you've provided them, is a great tool too. You can review the results of your event. You can take a look at when the tweets were posted and compare them to the different times activities took place. What part of your event or session speakers got the most attention on Twitter, and determine which speakers or topics or parts of the event were the most popular. And take a look at who the top participants were. Was it Twitter? If you're not following them already, start doing it. Send them direct messages to thank them, or send a tweet that publicly thanks everyone who tweeted about your event. That gives you more exposure. List their Twitter name. These people are loyal followers or brand ambassadors. Keep track of them and engage with them. You can use surveys also to gain insight on how much people enjoyed the event, what they'd like to see done differently, etc. You can develop a satisfaction score. And over time, this score can help you calibrate your efforts and planning as you make changes to elements of your event and as you strive to provide the best experience. You can ask a whole range of questions and gain valuable insights. Create a survey. Do they prefer a different time of year? Would they prefer a different location? What did they think of the location? What did they think of the speaker? And you can break it down to demographics, newsletter sign up, and then always have a place for them to subscribe to your newsletter. Next step. I know I put a lot of information in front of you today, and I know it's not easy to keep it all straight. So we're now just going to run through some checklists. So we discussed the decision to use online versus offline registration tools and recognize the three of the big advantages of online tools. And they make easy the process of collecting RSVPs, fees, other information related to your event. Online tools are available 24/7. Remember, we talked about how it's like having a conversation with your invitees while not having to actually be there. Online tools bring the various elements of the process together into one place, making it easier for you as the event manager. So when it comes to registration forms itself, there are a few things to keep in mind. Keep it simple, only collect the information you need and can connect to your event. Remember that you ask your questions and how you guide your registrants to provide the information can make a big difference. Good data in, good data out. Allow your registrants to benefit from and promote social proof, leading to higher registration and ultimately attendance. And find ways to let the information you collect inform business decisions for your future. When it comes to the registration form itself, here are a few things to keep in mind. Reflect the organization's brand or that of your event in the various elements of your registration process. Make sure they know it's you. Payment options matter. When you think about the pricing and other options, consider what is best, not just for you, but for the intended audience. Provide as many options that are as reasonable. And timing matters as well. Provide enough time for your invitees to plan accordingly, making travel or financial plans so that it's easy for them to say yes to the invitation. Don't forget to send them reminders because, yes, they are busy people too, just like us. So this is just, I know I covered a lot of information, and I'm going to go to questions as soon as I stop the recording. But this is, excuse me, I just want to point out that this is all part of the essential plan with Constant Contact, and that is $45 a month for the essential plan. And what's great about it is it includes so much more. They do have a basic plan for the $20 a month. They do offer a free trial for 60 days. However, anyone that signs up today will receive, I will pay for your first month. So I will reimburse you. When you sign up and pay for the first month, I will send me your receipt and I will pay you back for the first month because I'm that confident that you're going to love this. And the thing is, with the essential package, you get so much more, which includes the events. So you have your plus campaigns, which are events. If you just get basic email, you have to pay $50 just to use it to send out one event. But there's so much more that you get, and my favorite tool is autoresponder. And I have a webinar coming up on how to use autoresponder, which has made my life so darn easy. And I have created a Facebook group for those of you that are on Facebook and that are under my umbrella. This is a Facebook group that you could ask questions. I check it I get alerts on my phone. Any questions that come in, I'm in there trying to answer them. And I also put all my replays, and it's a great social spot to get more information. And I'm also, anybody who's interested in eBay can ask me free eBay questions. Otherwise, I charge $100 an hour to help with eBay. So now I'm going to go to Q&A, and it's my pleasure. Again, here's my phone number if you want to give me a call this week. and discuss any questions you have with Constant Contact. I am a certified business consultant trained by eBay, and you can find me on all of the social sites. So I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording now, and thank you for joining me.